Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Monday. I'm Haley, marketing lead at Purple Plum Consulting, and I'll be your host today. We're excited to share our highlights and hot takes from Elevate by Monday.com and NYC 2025. So let's dive in. Today, you'll hear from multiple Purple Plum team members about our recent trip to New York City with Monday.com. We'll cover event takeaways, AI, CRM campaigns, and you'll hear from our team on how integration is shifting. With that, I'll hand it over to Gidan, Purple Plum Consulting's president, who will kick us off with the highlights from Elevate, along with Mark.
But let's just talk about the general feeling at the event itself. A lot of energy, a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. Every year, the event tends to double, which is really indicative of where Monday is going as a platform and how broadly it's being embraced across multiple industries and so many different use cases. A couple of themes, that I think were just unavoidable, right? One of which is AI. And of course, we're hearing AI everywhere we go. And of course, that was prevalent at this particular event. But really, a lot of excitement around AI. But the key thing about AI, which I'm really so impressed with regard to Monday, is Monday makes AI accessible. It's actionable AI, it's bite-sized AI, it's meaningful AI. It's not just some monolithic black box that's scary. And Monday's doing a great job productizing and grouping AI into these bite-sized, actionable components. And we're seeing more and more of this. And we've already seen Sidekick and Vibe and AI blocks, Monday Magic. We now, as of this event, have been invited to understand AI agents, which is a game changer in the Monday ecosystem and actually a lot of fun. And then on a more technical level, talking about the Monday AI MCP, which allows Monday to communicate with other platforms using kind of prompting type language. It's just a lot of excitement around AI. We'll talk a little bit more later on in this episode about the AI agents themselves. And beyond that, obviously events are all about new features. And of course, Monday had their fair share of new features at this particular event, but the innovation is just ongoing. And we see expansion of existing products like CRM with new campaigns, the agents that I mentioned, customer hierarchy, all sorts of neat features that are really pushing the boundaries of Monday's products beyond their current positioning and allowing them to be more and more competitive with key competitors. In addition, Monday's continuing to enhance the core, and that's always something you want to look out for in a platform to make sure they're not just focusing on the shiny objects, the features that they know will raise eyebrows, but they're kind of reinvesting in the core, filling the gaps, taking feedback, adding little kind of features here and there that really make a difference and add value and reduce any friction and things of that nature. So that innovation is happening kind of outwards and inwards. Um, and then, kind of every year out of left field, Monday tends to throw in just something unexpected. A couple of years ago, it was the Monday Work Canvas that's displacing a lot of digital Canvas applications and allowing that work to be done inside the Monday ecosystem. And just recently, Monday's gone after the note-taking space. And obviously, there are many different meeting note takers, and we all use them and love them, or in some cases hate them, but they're very much pervasive. So Monday, in going after the space, is really opening up a great revenue source on one hand, but also a great integration opportunity and really value to customers with the Monday Note Taker product because it allows the meeting recordings to then trigger actions and workflows within Monday. And that's really always been a challenge. In the past, you might have just downloaded the meeting recording or forwarded your action items in an email, and then you have to kind of follow up on your own. Monday can send notifications to people, create reminder tasks, put the tasks on a calendar, do subsequent activities. And so we think the Monday Note Taker product itself is going to really pick up steam pretty quickly. But enough about AI and innovation. Mark, what were your takeaways from the event a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. Thanks, Kanan. The first thing that I want to say is energy, right? There's an enormous amount of energy that we all experienced, both as the customers watching them in their evolution of their experience with Monday, but also for all of us as people that actually implement customizations inside of Monday. There's just, like I said, a lot of energy. Monday.com has been around for just over 13 years, but honestly, it feels like a scrappy startup, right? You provide questions, they provide answers, and if the answers aren't there, very often they're developing solutions based on the actual requests and feedback that they receive from customers. And as you mentioned a moment ago, that's really the sign of a very strong platform, a very strong company who's, again, the goal here is to serve their customers and allow them to really fly. One of our customers, Redwood Services, was featured actually on a panel discussion sharing about the impact that they've had in working both with Purple Plum, but how Monday.com has become a centralized part of their organization. Their daily operations live inside of Monday. And in the course of this year alone, we've identified multiple new ways to save them time, but also what is so important, a single source of truth where everybody within an organization can turn to find answers, to find collaboration. And so with that, we see not only with the specific customer, Redwood Services, but across the board, we see our customers leaning more into Monday. And very often there's a single division or a single group of individuals inside of a company that says, hey, we're going to bring Monday on. And organically over time, there's more and more adoption. Very often, I have people come up to me and said, my boss from a different division came over, looked over my shoulder and saw what I'm doing on Monday.com and said, stop, I've got to have this for my operations, right? So we see that collaboration. We see this seamless communication coming together in a way that's actually impactful and brings about more business with less effort. And the final piece that I would want to mention here is that people are looking for a trusted advisor to help them get the most out of Monday.com. And the really exciting part of that need is that not only are there questions being asked, but there's answers, questions being answered with real and actual workflows, real and powerful ways to reduce time, serve their customers more efficiently, and bring about a better way to do business. So again, my recap here is that the energy, it's exciting. There's thousands of people here celebrating what Monday offers. And I actually, because I was sitting here at our booth, I didn't get a chance to really enjoy a lot of the speaking engagements. However, I know, Lauren, you were able to. And I'd love to just turn the mic over to you and get a little bit of feedback on what you experienced and what it meant for your work.
Well, thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, I mean, truly the energy in the room was incredible to see. It was great to be a part of it. I know, Gadon, you mentioned quite a bit about AI. So this is a huge takeaway for many people who attended and many clients I've spoken to post Ep8. So of course, this slide is just a refresher of all the AI concepts that Monday is currently working on. Some of these are already implementable and in use by a lot of people. So AI Blocks, Sidekick, Magic, Vibe, all of these are already being used by people. But I'd love to talk a little bit more about Monday agents. So this is a big theme from Ep8. A lot of people are excited to see this come in Q1 2026. All right, so agents, really exciting. These are customizable assistants, if you will. So you can create a profile of how you would want someone to work or interact with your Monday workflow, and then build out that profile to interact with it. So for example, if you have a repetitive task of every time a status changes to something, maybe you have a follow-up call to make, you can actually program an agent to make that call for you. You can provide the context, the text that you might want it to ask or engage with the customer on. So, when we think of real estate and how this might work for agents or, commercial brokers that we're working with, often this means just gathering more detailed information about a maintenance request, or maybe matching a client or a lead to a particular property or vacancy that you have. It could be screening these tenants before they come in, or automating that lease and renewal process as they're approaching that renewal. So lots of different ways that they can use concepts or information that you've provided in context, and then again, manage repetitive tasks to free up your team's time. All right, so imagine you're a solo broker who just hosted an open house. From that open house, you have 50 rough leads that come in, but working with these people that maybe only 10 of them are serious and the rest might just be tire kickers or, we're just being polite. So normally you would spend a lot of time qualifying these people and sorting through them to kind of figure out who makes sense to follow up with. An agent in this case could automatically qualify those based on your criteria. So maybe you have a certain budget that you're working with, or a particular location, or a timeline for immediate occupancy. All of these things can be accounted for when you're building out that agent's profile, so they know how to prioritize and follow up immediately. That follow-up could be anything from email to a text to a phone call to WhatsApp to, whatever communication point or preference that you've established that's the best method for your clients. It's going to follow all of that direction and do that task for you so that you're freeing up time. And then in the background, you might have less, serious leads, maybe a little bit more casual, but you don't want to lose sight of them. Agents can also create a profile for them and add them into, a softer marketing plan, if you will. So maybe they get a postcard following up down the line. But all of this is just to say that the impact is so important, especially when you're solo or you're thinking about adding members to your team. These are ways of introducing functionality that you would otherwise maybe need to hire for. So you want to be able to scale without hiring, and you don't want leads to slip through the cracks. All right, well, some other big features we saw at Ep8 were surrounding the CRM and marketing campaigns. So I'd love to introduce you to Allison to talk a little bit more about that.
Wonderful. Thanks, Lauren. So I really love hearing and learning so much about campaigns. This is in the CRM product and really helps with and drives email marketing. So what we're talking about with campaigns is bringing together marketing and sales, and it's especially powerful when you layer on and combine it with workflows. But essentially with campaigns, what you're able to do is, identify your audience segments, start to take a customer, your client list, and break down by various attributes and criteria. And then from there, design branded email marketing campaigns that you would then use and target with them. And we're talking everything from, a one-time push campaign to drip campaigns. And, all of this wouldn't be valuable if there wasn't a way to digest analytics. And so being able to see your campaigns analytics alongside CRM reporting, that's just the cherry on top. So I was really excited to see all of the features and capabilities that campaigns offers. And couldn't help but think about, some of the customers that we work with, especially in this real estate sector. And so I thought it could be helpful to maybe talk through a few real estate use cases, be it residential, commercial, property management, and what have you. So let's take a look at some of those now. All right. So, what you see on the screen here is, some screenshots, some bits around campaigns, but I invite you all to kind of daydream with me a little bit around what campaigns can do. So let's take an example in commercial real estate, right? You might have a place where you're documenting in a column the date that specific tenant's lease expires, right? And so you might choose to set up a campaign where you're kind of segmenting your audience so that for the tenants where their lease is expiring in the next 6 months, you're going to build out a drip campaign for them to receive, right? So you might have an intro email that goes out to them saying, hey, we know that your lease is coming to a close at this building at this time, right? Here are some market trends and available spaces near you, right? A few days, maybe a week goes by, you follow up and you're sharing a building spotlight, right? And it's showcasing one property that matches that company's size or industry. Again, these are all criteria that's already tracked in the CRM, right? So using that in this email marketing campaigns tool. And then, maybe a few weeks after that, you follow up with a case study, right? You're showing how another successful tenant, perhaps in their sector, successfully relocated with the help of the firm that you're with, right? And then, of course, having some call to action sprinkled in as well. So, couldn't help but think about some of these use cases, be it commercial. We can talk about residential in a moment here as well. But when I think about what that looks like to manage something of that scale before campaigns, right? You could certainly use Monday's automations to remind you to send these emails out. You could even have templates built out, but still having a step where you're changing a status and then it's automatically, sending an email. But this really takes all of that forethought and all of that thinking to the next level where you're able to build out these really tailored campaigns to specific segments, to specific audiences that you're trying to target, and have it be much more catered, right, to that audience, right? So when we think about a residential example, as you add perhaps a new buyer, right? You have a potential new client, a new buyer to your CRM, right? And maybe you're using some columns in your CRM, again, to mark some attributes, what neighborhoods they're interested in, their price range, things like that. But essentially, you might have a status that identifies them as a new buyer, right? And that could kick off a whole campaign, a welcome campaign, where they're receiving a welcome email. They're receiving a local market guide based off of their neighborhood and price range, right? They might get an education piece that's, here are the top 5 things you need to know as a buyer in, insert your city here, right? Follow up with some client testimonials. So all of that could all be pre-built out, could be branded and designed using campaigns templates. And then all you need to do is, input information around that new buyer, identify them by an attribute, right? Maybe a status column as a new buyer, and they're automatically then being added into this drip campaign, this new, welcome new buyer drip campaign that you've set up, right? So there's a lot of potential here that I'm really excited about, and can't wait to work with some folks to build these out in their real estate and residential and commercial and property management examples. But I think ultimately it's really helping to take some of the automation that we love so much about Monday and so much in the products that exist today to a next level where you have these campaigns that are really tailored, kind of almost running automatically based off of, a few attributes that you're identifying in your CRM. So really excited to see this come about and continue to make the CRM product so much of a differentiator in the SaaS space. Okay, enough about campaigns. I could talk about them all day. I'll turn it over to Christian to share a little bit about his reflections from Ep8.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. I appreciate that. As Ep8 went on, there was lots and lots of speaking events. One that really stuck out to me that I attended was where they had a panel of people from Make.com, Monday.com, and some other platforms where they were really talking about this shift from really structured automated workflows where you have an if-then statement where something happens and then there's some action, some trigger and action or set of actions that happen, right? And really shifting from that to really intelligent AI-driven automated workflows. And what that means is that we're shifting from not just about connecting tools to integrate platforms together rigidly. It's more about using AI to intelligently decide what tools to connect to at the right times to pull information from various places to automate workflows in an intelligent way. For a simple example, you have a form submitted on your website. It creates a record in the CRM. All that was possible previously, and then maybe assigns to an agent in your real estate business. And then some generic email goes out right afterwards that's templatized. Whereas now you could have some sort of intelligent workflow where the form's submitted, it reads some context, understands the situation of the client, generates some really nicely formatted and customized email that automatically gets sent to them, and then intelligently picks an agent from your pool of agents based on some criteria. So just kind of shifting from very rigid and structured workflows, which are very good, we still implement those, to a more sophisticated, intelligent automation. And what enables all of this is a protocol that was invented called MCP. And so what MCP is, without getting into the details of all the technical things behind it, it really is a protocol and something that allows AI to connect to various tools easily, right? So Monday.com has an MCP, right? Monday.com can be connected to from an AI chat. So it really allows you to, what we've all been using, ChatGPT and Claude and chatting with these AI models, it allows you to take those skills we've been doing in those chats and then really connect them to various tools in a really nice way. It allows the AI model to connect to tools intelligently. And so it's really that fundamental shift in the integrations that we have. So you can connect to your calendar, you can connect to your chat, you can connect to Monday, etc. Right? And so like a real world example for the real estate industry, let's say you have a potential seller reaches out on your website and they need to relocate by December. Their kitchen's from the 90s, right? There are some specific details and nuances of what was going on with this particular client. Previously, you'd have just a very simple form submission. It creates an item in your CRM in Monday, and then someone goes and manually does a bunch of tasks to, look at comps. Maybe it gets assigned to an agent. There's an email that goes out potentially to the client again, right? Some very structured workflow. Whereas now, this AI model could read this, plain text that the client has submitted, and then make intelligent decisions on where to pull information from. So it could go pull recent comps sold within a half mile, call another tool to review current market speed in the area, and then create like a brief, a pre-listing brief with comps, value estimates, market timing, and some whatever other information you can connect to this automation to then build like a brief packet for your agent to just have to hit the ground running right away. Whereas this maybe would take several minutes for an individual to do, this could just be happening automatically in the background as leads are submitted with intelligence behind it. AI is making these decisions and putting this together intelligently based on all of this data it's gathering. And yeah, that's essentially it for like an automated workflow example. And then what Monday MCP has done as well, they released an MCP for Monday.com. It allows you to really connect. You can connect to Cloud right now, right into your Monday account, which will allow it to create boards. It can create tasks. It can create leads in your board from plain text, right? So you just imagine you just kind of speak it into existence almost, right? You just chat to your AI model and say, hey, I need a couple of tasks in Monday.com to go, and it'll go and do that for you automatically and with some thought behind it, right? It's not just going to take what you said and copy paste it into the platform, and actually tries to think about, what you're trying to accomplish and then really intelligently create these tasks in the system for you. And that can happen right now. That's something that's available on ChatGPT and Claude, and obviously will be coming as AI advances so fast, more and more will be coming through with these features. Okay, Haley, and back to you to wrap things up.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for our Elevate 2025 recap. If you'd like to learn more about how Monday.com can support your real estate workflows, please reach out to our team at Purple Plum Consulting. Be sure to join us for our next Tuesdays with Monday session in October. You can find all upcoming events on our website at purpleplumtech.com/events. Until then, thanks again for spending time with us today, and we'll see you next month.